Hi guys, well we did it. We topped regional playing Primite Odion. Without any further ado, let's just get straight into the deck list. Alright, let's just get into it. First things first, we have two copies of Man with the Mark. Probably the best starter in the deck. The protection effect is goaded, and just an all-around fantastic card. I was playing more, but I just wanted to reduce the odds of opening multiple in the hand, since I do search it out anyway. One card that I run that I wish got a bit more love was Anubis, one copy of Anubis, the Last Judge. Now, I don't particularly like using the effect in hand to search, because I don't really like turning on the canines, but I mostly use him as a way to recycle the traps in graveyard, especially the counter trap. The amount of times I've recycled the counter trap over the weekend was phenomenal, and him just enabling me to use the counter trap more than once in a duel is absolutely insane. And if you're able to do that, well, you're basically just winning anyway. Next up, we have Primite Ether Barrel. Surprise to no one, running the Primite engine is definitely the best way to go with this deck. My vanilla of choice is actually a different one to most people. I've run the Gemini Elf, mostly for utility that'll be made apparent a little bit later on in the video. Next up, we have the hand traps. We have 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Absolutely amazing. 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 3 Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, and 3 Mold Charmy Full Wallace. Now, this particular lineup I don't particularly think needs explaining. Most decks will be running most, if not all of these. Especially for this deck, we're going into Dracotel, it being the hardest matchup of the top 3 decks. Just having that extra negate for the traps. Additionally, sometimes denying the Urgler at back of 5 mana is actually very powerful. Moving into more of a grind game situation. Moving on to the spells now. 3 copies of Treasures of the Kings. Don't particularly need to explain why this one is a 3. On activation, it sets an Aphophis from deck. If you have 2 or more set cards or a trap engraved, you add a monster that mentions Temple of the Kings, usually your man. Sometimes I will add the Anubis if I want the recycling first before I normal summon man. Amazing card. Only card that I think might be better in the deck is actually Primate Lordly Load. The reason why I like this one slightly more than Treasures is because this on its own, even if it gets hand trapped, is usually I still end on a Baguska, which against some decks is enough to hold the fort for like 1 turn. And of course we have the Drill Beam. Now, when it comes to Lordly Load being like getting to Baguska, this deck, if you can buy yourself like 1 turn, you can usually get yourself into kind of a snowball where you end up winning in the grind game, due to most decks not being able to deal with the constant refreshing of the disruption. Speaking of buying yourself a turn, here comes the best disruption card in the game, in my opinion. Super Polymerization. It breaks boards, it disrupts your opponent's ability to make boards. Absolutely fantastic. It's a 2 in the main. I do play 1 in the side, just a little bit of a preview, because I do believe it is the absolute best board breaker in the format. And finally, just 3 one-ofs, 1 talent, 1 prosp, 1 terraforming. Nothing too crazy there, nothing too out of the ordinary. Next up, we have got 2 copies of Apophis the Serpent and 2 copies of Apophis the Swamp Deity. I feel like this is like the optimal ratio if you want to play other engines with the deck. I wouldn't play any less than 2 Deity. I have flirted with the idea of playing one serpent, but it's just every time I tried it, it's just not good. So I would say that 2 is probably correct in this current iteration of the deck. One copy of Verdict of Anubis, absolutely amazing counter trap. If you don't know, it has a Raigeki ability if you control Temple of the Kings once you resolve it. Finally, we move on to the Dominus cards. 2 songs, 2 impulse, and 3 purge. All of these are insane. All of them are wonderful additions to the deck. There has been games where I have activated both purge and impulse on turn 0. And still made it through the grind game because on that particular instance I did have treasures and load in hand, so I was able to get to that snowball point where I was able to keep playing with no monster effects, and we ended up taking the game. Who needs them? Who needs monster effects? Next, we move on to the extra deck. First off the links, we have 1 Link Spider, 1 Silver Hat Rabbit, and 1 SP Little Knight. All 3 of these are 100% mandatory. I didn't get to make Silver Hat as much as I would have liked to over the weekend. Just prioritized other extra deck cards, which you will see in a moment. The one I prioritized most was 2 copies of Baguska. This card was absolutely insane over the weekend, especially the second one. The second one being an insurance policy in case my load gets hand trapped. So the idea would be normal summon at the barrel or activate Lord of the Load. Load gets ashed, normal summon man or normal summon full loss, normal summon nigh anything really, and then just overlay it into Baguska. Turn 2, change this to attack mode, try and build something of a board, normal summon, do something, then attack as much as possible. Then in second main phase, use load to bring back Gemini Elf and make a second Baguska, changing this to defense mode, and thus buying yourself a second turn with Baguska under your opponent. 1 Gallon Granite. Over the weekend I didn't get a chance to make it. I never got in a position where I felt, because without Scorpion of Soskip, going for Gallon Granite is extremely greedy, and I just wanted to play a bit more low to the ground this weekend. So I didn't end up making it. I still would play it, just for sometimes I do just want to search the Lord for other reasons. 1 Typhon, absolutely fantastic. Even if I'm under Purge, just having the 2/9 beat stick is pretty fantastic. Moving on to the fusions, we have 1 copy of the Divine Serpent Aphophis. Now, this one, I wish I could run more, but I had to prioritize space for the next showings. I play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Super Poly targets. We play the obvious ones. We play Mud Dragon and Garura. We also play Secretarian Dragon, Magist Chorizo, Predaplant, Dracostapelia, and Trivertum, as well as Axon Kicker Oracle. The reason why we play Chorizo is why we play Gemini Elf, because Chorizo is any extra deck monster plus a spellcaster. So if you're in a situation where you have Super Poly and not much else, like you drew this for some unfortunate reason, or you just have load with no real follow-up, like it got hand trapped or something, just this being an out to Super Poly plus Gemini Elf just being an out to like anything, any extra deck monster is sometimes just enough, because not much can run over the Chorizo in defense mode with 2/8, and its ability to just bounce whatever attacks it to the hand is pretty cool. And unfortunately, I did not come up against any people playing Fenrir, or at least if they were playing it, they never summoned it against me, and the K9 player never got to any psychics, so I could not make Axon Kicker, which is a bit unfortunate. I still play it, would still play it for those particular matchups. Travertum was insane, just super poly away a Mitsu board, or yeah, super poly away a Mitsu board, or even just if you come up against Malice, just super polying away that board is ridiculous. Now moving on to the side deck. 3 copies of Retaliating Sea, absolutely needed for Dracotale. Anything to stop Dracotale from building a substantial board. 1 copy of Lord of the Heavenly Prison and 1 copy of Temple of the Kings. I hated bricking on this, so it found its home in the side deck, and I would not change that. It was very much needed over the weekend. Sometimes searching it off of man opposed to the field spell is correct, due to wanting to just build the board and potentially go for the fusion turn 1, which I did have to do in the early rounds of the weekend. 3rd Super Poly, that's fantastic. Yeah, it mostly for going second, but it also was sided in during the Mitsu Yummy match, just in case just in case I needed to use it as disruption, to stop them from gaining too much advantage off of Sagi or Prayers, making sure they couldn't tribute from field. Now we move on to the traps in the side deck. First up we have Blackcoat Laughs, Karma Cannon, DDG that's it for the normal traps. Now we move on to the continuous traps. We have Gozen, Skill Drain, Soul Drain, Non-Fusion Area, Imperial Iron Wall, and Anti-Spell. The logic with this was these are all limited, aside from Non-Fusion Area, these are all limited, and Soul Drain, sorry. These are all limited anyway. Well, at least most of them are, at least the crazy ones are. So just side them all in. I'll most likely see 1, and if I can get myself in a position where I have access to Lord, or if I just open multiple, I can just stop my opponent from playing. Like Gozen by itself just won me Dracotale. Just they normal summon Malulu, activated effect, diffuse. I chained Gozen, and they were basically just chilling there for about 5 turns while I just build up my resources. Shout outs first up to Hakuna Matata. Thank you very much for this opportunity for the deck profile. Shout outs to Jesse for winning the event. Trap Monster Superiority. Shout out to NJ Collectibles and Gaddis. Great event, fantastic store. Shout outs to Alec for flying out. Shout outs to Jonah for all the banter on the way up. Shout out Alliance Games, best locals. Shout out to Konami Tournament Policy Section 2, Subsection J, if you know, you know. Shout out to Snake Eyes, because that's all I could seem to roll on that day. Only won the last die roll against the Mitsu Yummy player, probably the most important die roll of the day, actually. And shout outs to Missing Gnome. Shout outs to Missing Gnome, where are you? Thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful day.